Hey there, Duke fans. Welcome to episode number 765 of the Duke Basketball Roundup. Donald here, host for this episode. Jason Evans looking at the Zoom above me as I have I have this set up. Jason, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm not to the side. You're to the side of me. I'm above you.
Yeah, well, it's just how I have the chat open, so it angles us in different ways. But I get to see your face as we recap the win over Texas in the opening game of the season. Jason, one stat that stood out to me as we get into this, I believe it was the 27th straight opening night win for Duke, which you're thinking, okay, that's pretty decent, and yeah, they probably play some cupcakes in there. But if you recall, this game right here used to be the Champions Classic for what, 4 or 5 years. So the fact that we had games like this last night, or the Champions Classic, and we still have an opening night streak that dates back into the 1990s is quite an accomplishment. But I want to get into this recap of this victory as we normally do. We're getting back into the season, so we got to get back to the headlines, and we got a ton of them after this game, Jason, and I'm glad we kind of waited until late afternoon on Wednesday to record because I needed all that time to review all of these headlines that we got. So I'll start with you. Give me some that you liked.
Well, first of all, I just want to mention there are a bunch of people who said they called this a vital or vital victory. I thought that was clever. We got several of those. We also got Texas toast from a few people. We got a bunch of awesome babies. These are all really good. And if your headline does not make it onto the podcast, onto us talking about it, keep on firing them away, folks. Yes, we got 30 or 40 or, we got a ton of emails. We don't mind. We want to hear from you because when we get a lot of them, we get only the really good ones that make the broadcast. So we will start with this. Robert Goldman. And by the way, Donald, I said I was going to shy away from people who made jokes about Carlos Boozer, booze, alcoholic nickname stuff. But Robert Goldman was good enough. He said, Boozer is dry in the first half, but goes off the wagon in the second. I like that, Robert. That's a good Boozer one.
I had, there was a lot of Dick Vitale-ish headlines because, of course, this was the inaugural Dick Vitale Invitational. So I have to lead with one, Jason. Josh Levinson, I think, had one of the best ones, and he said, Dipsy Do, half number 2, Slim Cab Jam. I had to do it in my Dick Vitale voice. So I like that one, Josh.
Very, very nicely done. So I had two of them that felt like pokerish to me, and I want to mention like almost a poker theme. John Grantland gave us Texas holds them, but Duke's D folds them. That was really good. And then Jim Baumgardner, this isn't strictly poker, but I just read it and I was like, this feels poker themed to me. He said, Showtime Slim wins this Texas shootout. I guess it was the Slim, Amarillo Slim, sort of. He's a famous poker player, so I don't know why, but I thought both those were poker related. And frankly, tonight I'm going to be hosting a big poker tournament at my synagogue. And so I had that on the brain.
Hopefully you have the chips at the end of the night. That's the idea. When you have poker night, no matter where it is. Bobby Weingartner had a good one. It's a longer one, which, Jason, I don't normally like the longer ones, but this one I thought was great because he says, Foster digs in, Cam settles in, Slim slams in as the team from Bull City sends the Longhorns back to Texas. I thought that one was really cool. I also saw a very simple one who I'm sure we'll talk about, Jason. Brandon Hastings. CFOS becomes DFOS. We will talk about Caleb Foster's defense there. And lastly, for me, Jason, I'll let you end it. From the K-Man, David Kerman, he writes, Booze awakens from snooze to ensure Devils don't lose, which I think was great use of rhyme there, K-Man.
Right. So a little more rhyming for me as we wrap this up. First one, Jason Beer gave us hook 'em, more like cook 'em. As Duke shows the Longhorns, when you mess with the Devils, you get the horns. And then Dave Jordan gave us Evans electric early, Boozer battles back, and Foster finishes for Duke versus Texas. Dave Jordan, by the way, went to the game. He said it was super physical. He said Texas fouled on virtually every play and just dared the referees to call it. He actually wrote, he said, I went to a boxing match and a basketball game broke out, which I thought was funny. But then last one I want to give, James Blitch gave us a true limerick. He said it was like his first shot at a limerick. James, this is pretty good for a first round try. He said, the first half it was Evans, a true gift from the heavens. as he poured in those beautiful threes. But then came Boozer, that incredible bruiser, to lead Duke to its victory. James, if that's your first limerick, dude, you got quite a history, quite a future ahead of you. Nice job, sir.
So thank you, everybody who submitted headlines. Again, dbrpodcast@gmail.com. After every game, we go through headlines to kind of, again, tell the story of this game. Imagine yourself opening up the newspaper the next morning, sipping your morning coffee, and you're reading about the Blue Devils. What headline would you want to see? That's what we would love for you to email us at dbrpodcast@gmail.com. Okay, Jason, let's get to the good stuff about this game. I think there was a lot of good, a lot of bad that we could talk about from this game. Of course, it's opening night, but I want to lead with the defense because I think the first thing that John Shire singled out after the game was the defense. And we've talked in the preseason about how we feel that the defense is going to outpace the offense for at least the early portion of the season while the offense catches up. But what John Shire said, and I kind of agree with him at certain parts, he mentioned that we didn't give up a lot of dribble penetration. It was a lot of three-pointers and guys getting to the hole, but not a lot of in-your-face type of beating guys off the dribble. We held Texas to 32% from the floor, 30% from three, forced them into 16 turnovers, which in the second half, especially, I thought Caleb Foster was really good at forcing teams, the Texas, into bad decisions. And Jason, get this: Texas only had 6 assists last night, which means in the end they were trying to beat us off the dribble, and we weren't allowing them to do it.
Yeah, dude, you just stole all my stats. I was going to give all those. I was about to give all those numbers. I also had the defense as the number one topic in the good from this game. I thought it was truly outstanding. What we did to Texas was we forced them to become a one-on-one team. And we are long and switchable. And long and switchable is a really, really bad formula for you to go one-on-one against, unless you are a truly, truly elite ball handler and creative shot creator. Texas shot just 14 out of 42 on 2-point field goals. 14 for 42, do the math. That's 33%. On 2-point field goals, Donald, that's ridiculous. A year ago, we've talked a lot about how good Duke was last year on defense. A year ago, Duke was third in the country at 2-point field goal defense, holding our opponents to 43%. Well, we're starting out even better than that against a good team in Texas, against a team in Texas that has experienced guards who have played together in the past and know what it takes to succeed at this level. And they could not get it done against the Duke defense. I mean, if we're going to be that tough to score against, it is a real problem for the Duke doubters. Texas only gets to 60 points in this game. And Duke was just in their face, contesting everything, making every shot difficult. And again, they just hit 33% from two. And like you mentioned, they hit 29.4% from three. Texas couldn't get out and run. They couldn't get into easy offensive sets because of that. Duke slowed them down all the way. They only had, in the first 33 minutes of this game, up until the 7-minute mark of the second half, Texas had a grand total of 2 fast break points. Donald, they're not hitting threes. They're struggling to get good shots from two. They got a grand total of 2 fast break points. I mean, is it any surprise that Texas was like, can we get a last second, meaningless when the game's over shot to get us to 60? This Duke team, and shout out time. I thought, especially in the second half, Cephas, Dame Sarr, Malik Brown were just awesome on defense. I feel these Texas guards, juniors and seniors, all of them, experienced, played together, came up against Cephas and Dame Sarr, and we're like, I don't know what I can do. That is scary if you're someone else watching and scouting Duke.
And as we've mentioned on this show throughout the years, defense is always something that can travel. You can put it on a bus, you can put it in the overhead compartment of a plane when we have to fly places. It should always be the thing that shows up. And last year, the number of games where we were like, oh, teams were struggling to get 50 or 60 points. Like getting to 70, you're like, okay, if you can hold a team under 70, that's pretty good for college. But holding a team to 60 or lower, the amount of times that we did. That's a number that I'm sure that this team is striving for. They want to keep teams under 60 points because they know that even if they have a bad shooting night, which I'm sure we'll talk about, they'll be able to win these games going away because their defense is going to generate a lot of offense. Speaking of which, Jason, before we get into some of the players, the one thing that I thought we did well for the most part was the assist ratio. You know, I like this stat. We had
Yeah.
13 assists on 22 made baskets. That's 59.1%. So you're right around what, teams are aiming for. Between 60 and 65% is a pretty good number. But it's funny, not one person had more than two assists. Everybody on the team had one that played. Everyone on the team was able to
No, that's
find a
crazy.
teammate, which is great. And that, I think, Jason, was done in the first half. But the fact that nobody had more than two assists means we were really balanced in our attack. We were really balanced in who had the basketball, who was able to find guys. Everybody was looking for their teammates, and everybody was able to find their teammates at certain points. And so now, would I like to see one or two of those guys maybe have 5 or 6 or 7 assists? Absolutely. But the fact that we were able to get a lot of people involved, everybody who checked into the game was involved in some point in either scoring or assisting or rebounding or defense. I think that is how you beat these good teams, despite maybe one or two facets of your game having an off night.
Yeah, and I just want to mention on a night when Duke was struggling offensively to some extent, the team found a way to get to the free throw line in a pretty big way. And look, in the first half, we are just 4 of 8 at the free throw line. We didn't hit our free throws the way you would like. 50% is not good. But in the second half, they go 18 of 22, 81, almost 82% from the free throw line. Look, we saw it against Tennessee, and then we saw it again in this game. When the game was tense, when the game was, on the line in the second half, these Duke guys stepped up to the free throw line, just buried it again and again and again. And it's great. If you can rely on that, that is a huge asset for a team that may occasionally struggle to score.
So I want to get into some of the players, and I want to start off instead of starting with Cam Boozer in his second half. I'm sure we'll get to it in a second. I want to start with Isaiah Slim Evans because his 23 points, 4 for 8 from three, as you mentioned from the free throw line, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. I think he was the pace car for us when we needed offense in the first half. He had 15 points in the first half, and a lot of them most of it came in bunches. It felt like at a certain point, we'll talk maybe about shot selection, but there's certain points where he said, I'm going to take these shots. And he's got the green light to do so. And we've seen that so far in the preseason. We saw it last night, and he was able to make them. I like the fact that he was able to make them, and the fact that he was showing that he has the confidence that even if he has a shot that's off, he's going to come right back down the next possession. He's going to do it again until he makes it. And so I like the fact that he was our pace guard. And again, as some of the freshmen were kind of working their way into the ball game as a sophomore, he stepped up leader wise and by example to say, "Hey, I'll hold it down until everyone else is ready to come along," and hold it down. He did.
Yeah, and I think the key for Isaiah, the thing that people really desperately want to see out of Isaiah is that he's more than just that outside gunner. And he goes 4 of 8 from three. But to me, the fact that he went 3 of 5 from two and that he went to the free throw line enough to get 6 free throws, those are pretty significant things because every team knows we cannot give this guy an inch. He gets that shot up, that 3-point shot up so damn quickly and on the move, and and he's so good at it. Again, he hit 50% of his threes, and page 1 of every scouting book says, "Don't let Isaiah Evans take threes." So the fact that he is beginning to diversify that game a little bit, we saw it especially, I think, in the second half with the backdoor cuts. That he is really, he's recognizing, hey, my guy's following me out here. My guy's terrified of where I am out here. I'm going to backdoor cut him. And Duke was doing a really good job of finding him. That's just making Isaiah more and more dangerous. And that's just a huge factor for the Duke team.
And he's opening up the floor a little bit more because in an offense where every single person on the floor is capable of shooting and making a three, you're going to have a lot of guys camping on that 3-point line. So by him slashing to the basket at times, pulling his defender with him, even if his defender is in front of him, that's opening up more angles for guys to get shots. He may not get the ball, but he may have, be able to indirectly affect an open shot that we have. I want to shift Jason to Cam Boozer and want to focus more on the second half. I'm sure we'll talk about the first half on the other side of the break, but in the second half, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 2 assists. Um, that's good. And it took a while for him to ease into this game. And Jason, to bring it back to the theme of free throws, his first point was a free throw. His first point was, "Hey, I'm struggling here, but I want to get to this line and I want to make a shot. Let me go ahead and knock these free throws down, and that'll help me with the confidence that I need to move to get into this game." And once he was able to take over in the second half, again, it felt like there was a little bit more of a balance. It felt like Texas didn't have an answer for him. It helped him on his defense. It helped him again kind of secure some of those rebounds. The rebounding margin was way off before he started hauling them down, and he was able to close the gap quite a bit. But it's also how we were able to go on that run of 10 points early in the second half. I thought that he did a tremendous job of kind of adjusting at halftime to what Texas was giving him. Credit to Texas for the defense they showed him in the first half. He's able to adjust to it and come out slinging. And I think despite the fact that he had an off shooting night, he was able to make up for it and again affect the game in multiple ways.
I'll go ahead and say that I suspect that his first half against Texas will be his worst half of the season. Based on what I've seen, what I've heard, my knowledge of Cameron Boozer's overall game, I don't think he's going to have another half where he gets 0 points and really didn't do much positive for the team. And I want to acknowledge Dickie V right at the start of the second half. I think it was Cam was shooting those first couple free throws, and Dickie V said he's going to bounce back. He's getting 15 points this half. And when he said it, I was like, yeah, I think he's probably right. I won't be at all surprised if that happens with Cam. And lo and behold, that was exactly what ended up happening in this game. I do like that in a game where Cam was just so frustrated, couldn't get anything to fall. You saw repeat again and again. He went in there for that little, he goes in and he puts the ball up off the glass, and he was just all of them were just a touch too long. But even as frustrated he was getting his shot to fall, he was getting to the free throw line. And that's just so important for him to get 12 free throws in a game where he couldn't put the ball, couldn't throw the ball in the ocean sometimes. That's why Duke won this game, because we found a way to get production out of him when he was frustrated. And I like that he got his worst half of the season out of the way early. Opening game. Hey, all done. Nothing but
that's what it's for.
And I firmly believe that to be the case.
That's what it's for, right? You get the opening night jitters, and a lot of freshmen will do what he did in the first half of their first official collegiate basketball game. They're going to have the jitters or whatever you want to call it, the struggles, the shakes, the shanks, whatever you want to call it. They're going to have it in that first portion of the game. It's about easing into it and remembering that, yes, it's your first college basketball game, but it's just like any other game, and you use the attributes that got you to this point. He was able to settle down in the second half and really get it done. I think other players that we could call out, Caleb Foster is the next one I want to call out, because his defense in the second half, 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists on the offensive front. And yeah, sure, that's fine. But in the second half, when we needed a ball stopper on defense, to really stop Texas from getting to the basket, he was able to do it. And we mentioned in the preview, Jason, how streaky Texas guards can be shooting the basketball. Well, he made them streaky in the second half, because the shots that were going down from the first half, he was clamping down to them to the point where they were taking some ill-advised shots. Probably Sean Miller was probably going to review the tape and see, man, Caleb Foster really affected maybe 20 to 30 points that they could have had, because he forced them to make a bad decision.
Yeah, let me hit Cephas, and then I want to get to Dame Sarr as well. I thought Cephas was absolutely great in the second half. And, if you look at the whole game and you go, oh, he only had 7 points, he did all of that in the second half. And if you duplicate the second half onto the first half, and so we're talking about Cephas having a 14-point game as opposed to a 7-point game, and we're talking about how ridiculously difficult he makes life for the opposing guards on defense. And by the way, not just opposing guards, but the point of attack. He's taking the first guard, the guy who's supposed to initiate for the other team. If we'd combine those things together, we'd be like, oh man, I mean, Cephas is on his way to an all ACC kind of season, and I'm not convinced that he isn't. I we've got to get him to be a little more aggressive on offense and have a little more confidence. I love the play where the two Texas guys got confused and they both ran away from him. He just stepped in and buried a 3-pointer. I
Hmm.
don't know how you can not adore that spin move he put on that guy for like a spinning layup in the second half. I mean, wow, that was eye popping. Caleb, have confidence, babe. Do it early, get it going, because I know you've got it in you. And then, as I said, I wanted to mention Dame Sarr because I feel like those two guys are very much running mates, especially on the defensive end. Dame, he's been limited, we know, by injuries in practice, but the leap that I'm seeing in him from what we saw in the blue-white game is just striking. He's look at the moment he is mostly a 3-and-D guy. I'm not seeing a lot other than camping on the wing to get open 3-pointers from him. Although he buried them in this game. He was 2 of 3 from 3-point range. If Dame ever unlocks a little more of an offensive game than just being a 3-and-D guy, then I mean, bar the the barn door is just going to fly open for him. It's I don't know what analogy I'm looking for, but
The,
his ceiling, his roof is really, really, really high. He had 3 steals in this game. Dame did, and his length, it's just palpable. Like you look at the floor and you look at him out there, and you're just like, oh man, that guy's about to do something with his length that's you know, gonna cause the whole stadium to jump out of their seat. And I'm just bummed that he missed that one dunk. That would have been the play of the game.
yeah, that I was gonna say that one had me out of my chair. And when he missed it, I was just like, oh man, it's one of those moments where everybody was probably laughing at him, but I was like, man, that next time that goes down, and maybe on Friday or on Saturday he throws that down in Cameron, and he gets a raucous response and it hits Sports Center. But man, that was a really good one. I think the other thing, Jason, about him is you mentioned that Texas had 2 fast break points in the entire game. You know
Yeah,
why? Because Dame Sarr is so fast that anytime they got on the break, he was able to beat everybody down the floor. And you saw that multiple times where it's not like he caused a steal, but he at least made them stop and realize, oh, I can't go to the basket anymore because this guy has somehow ran past me, and now I have to reset my offense. Where the fact that we were able to set our defense up, it caused trouble for them. It caused fits that way. So again, that there's things where you see if the game slows down for him in the next few weeks, you see him turning to machine. He gets to start, by the way, after again sitting out the preseason.
yes, yeah,
So that
and plays a lot. Plays 29 minutes in this game. Third most. Only Isaiah Evans and Cam Boozer played more than he did in this contest.
Yeah. Any other players you have in the good before we switch?
Yeah, the last guy I wanted to mention was Patrick Gungba, who, look, we're going to talk about the fouls, but I thought Patrick both was very good, very efficient on offense. He's 4 of 5 on his field goals. But I also wanted to mention his defense because he was doing an excellent job of rim protecting, just getting in the way of guys as things were coming into the middle. Texas kept on trying to attack the basket and attack the middle. And like as hard as it is to get through Cephas and Dame, I mean, here you got Pat back there just patrolling things and using his size and his physicality to keep dudes away from the basket and make it just super hard for Texas to score. And I thought Pat had a very, very nice game. 10 points, 4 rebounds. It's not like huge, but pretty darn good. And also he showed off, those smarts. It had some really nice passes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, 10 points is still he was still the third leading scorer on the team. So, and when we talk about the big men kind of pacing us on offense, both Cam and Pat were able to do that. And then, as you mentioned, he was very well rounded on defense as well.
Yeah, and by the way, I also wanted to mention, great to have Malik Brown back. And
Yes.
like the moment he comes on the floor, you're like, up, here comes a deflection. Like the dude is just a walking deflection and steal. It is kind of crazy how good he is at that. I don't even know how it's possible. I will say, Malik, you gotta be careful when you tell John Shire to challenge. The challenge has got to be right. Malik, like
It
that
was
ball went out
right.
of bounds. And
It was right. I'll stand by that. I'll stand on business for him. I thought that was the right call. But it's also a new quirk for college basketball, right? That one that he immediately signaled, and that John Shire looked at the iPad for like 2 seconds and trusted that it was the right decision. So again, I'm not too mad at that. But again, he comes on and he's like the Tasmanian devil, like. Chaos
yeah,
is around him and he's like thriving in it, like, yeah, this is me. So for better or worse, right there, we'll
it's
talk.
great. I hadn't,
Yeah.
I hadn't thought of that before. That's good. The Tasmanian Devil, that's really good, Donald.
Yeah, so that's you kind of see the chaos kind of brewing around him, and you're like, oh, here we go. And if you're on the other team, it probably means you're in for a longer night than you had imagined. Let's take a quick break. On the other side, we'll get to some of the things that we need to improve in this game. Of course, night one, everything's going to go right, and we will give out our play of the game. Stick around for that.
All right, Duke fans, you know what time of year it is. The countdown is on. Holiday shopping season is officially here, and Uncommon Goods takes the stress out of gifting with thousands of unique, high-quality finds you won't find anywhere else. Don't wait. The most meaningful gifts get scooped up fast, and now is the perfect time to cross names off of your list.
Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, like my acupuncture mat that I find myself using daily, Jason. From moms and dads to kids and teens, from book lovers, history buffs, and diehard football fans, to foodies, mixologists, and avid gardeners, you'll find thousands of new gift ideas that you won't find anywhere else. And when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches, so shop now before they sell out this holiday season.
Yeah, don't wait. Cross those names off your list before the rush. For you to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/DukeBB. That's uncommongoods.com/DukeBB for 15% off. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Fall always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busier routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. That's where Factor can help. Their chef-prepped, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious, no matter how hectic the season gets.
Yeah, and you can choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp at no extra cost. And for the first time, try Asian-inspired meals with bold flavors influenced by China, Thailand, and more. For more choices and better nutrition, that's why 97% of customers say that Factor helped them to live a healthier life. You can feel the difference no matter what your routine is.
So eat smart at factormeals.com/DukeBB50 off and use that code DukeBB50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code DukeBB50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Offer only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Feeling stuck in your daily wellness routine? You're not alone. Our friends at Cornbread Hemp hear you. Their organic CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether it's stress or poor sleep or just needing a moment to unwind.
Yeah, Cornbread Hemp's CBD gummies are made to help you feel better. They are scientifically formulated to work with your body, not against it. And they only use the very best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD.
And right now, if you want, Duke Basketball Roundup listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head to cornbreadhemp.com/DukeBB and use that code DUKEBB at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/DukeBB and use that code DukeBB to save 30% on your first order. We are back, and we turn our attention to some of the things that we need to improve on after last night's victory over Texas. Jason, I'll let you go first. Of course, there are some things that probably need to be cleaned up, but what's the first thing you have in your mind?
Yeah, two things that I can deal with very, very quickly, and it does not take a genius to point these things out. For the third game in a row, even though only one of them counts, but for the third game in a row, the Blue Devils started out with a very underwhelming first half. That frankly, you just didn't feel like Duke played very well in the first half. Now we were great in the second half, as we have been for three games in a row. But
Hmm.
I would like maybe we could. I'm not saying reverse things. I'm saying maybe play two halves. Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be a lot of fun. We got to figure out a way. I think Duke. I should go back and look. Duke had like 3 points in the first 7 minutes or something like that. This was this was very, very sluggish at the start. And then the other thing I wanted to mention just super fast is foul trouble. Both Big Pat and Malik Brown fouled out. Malik Brown fouls out 5 fouls in just 14 minutes. Um, I would like our big men to be fully available late in the game. Instead, neither one of them were available late in the game because they had both fouled out. So let's fix that up, guys.
We had to go with our small lineup, Jason, which consists of everybody still being above 6'5" on the floor.
Yes,
Um,
exactly.
so,
Right.
but
Our small lineup is like 6'9", 6'9", 6'8", 6'7", 6'5".
correct. Yeah, Caden Boozer was not on the floor when that happened. He would have dropped it down to what a 6'4", plus hair. So we're still in the ballpark here. But yeah, I think there's a couple things for me that are I'll go quickly. I think one, we played a little bit like shaky, helter skelter, if you will, for it being the first game. And I get it; it's the first game that counts. But as poised as the team looked in the preseason against two quality opponents, I was not expecting for them to be as helter skelter as they were last night. Now, I'm giving them a pass in the sense that, yeah, it's the new season, new players. A lot of them are freshmen. This is where the upperclassmen or the veterans on the team would want to lead. And I know I just mentioned the chaos that surrounds Malik Brown when he enters the game. That part is a positive. But as this season goes on, I want to see them kind of, as you mentioned, Jason, ease into games a little bit more quickly. And it's not necessarily about a fast start, but it's about a good start, making your shots, executing your plays, and not having to really fight as hard as we've had to fight in the second half. In the first couple of games of both the preseason and this first game. So I'm looking at that. The other thing was not as exactly enamored with, but again, it's the first game, so not everything's going to be perfect. There were some times where I thought our shot selection was a little bit off. We took a couple of shots that were maybe ill timed for whatever the moment was at the time. But again, we fought through that. We were able to, I thought we were much better about it in the second half. But in the first half, Jason, as you mentioned, when so far when we have started out struggling from shooting, it's almost like we want to force something in so that we can get that confidence. Now, the answer to the code breaker last night was Slim Evans going off for like 9 points in the span of four possessions. That'll help get you out of the slump. But outside of him, it felt like a lot of guys were forcing a little too much in the first half. They were able to be better about picking their shots in the second half. But I think still that's something that's easily, we can easily clean up. And I'm looking to see how they. It's more about the freshmen and some of the other guys just settling in, right? Like letting the game slow down a bit. That may take a little bit of time. And unfortunately, when you open up with a team like Texas, that's not a lot of time. So I feel like those are things that we can work on. But I'm not too concerned about it with it being the first game of the season. Jason, I know there's one thing that I think we both wanted to discuss, which was the rebounding, and then there's one that we'll focus on with the bench. But start with the rebounding and how we overcame what was a terrible start, to be quite frank, with the rebounding.
Yeah, I mean, Texas just beat us badly on the boards in the first half. Their guards, I thought, were especially strong at getting rebounds, and that's just something Duke's going to have to figure out a way to clean up. We're too big a team with too many good rebounders to let a team push us around the way Texas frankly did early on. I mean, Texas's best offense at times was chuck the ball at the basket and then just go run and get it. Texas outscored us on second chance points 14-8. If you got a game where you win by around 15 points or so, there shouldn't be any aspect of the game where you get outscored, and getting outscored that badly on second chance points is definitely something you need to look at. Um, we did come back nicely in the second half. We end up only losing the rebounding battle 41-37, which just proves when Duke rebounds, Duke wins. And that's a theme that I think will probably carry through for much of the season. But that did concern me. And then you go ahead. Did you want to talk about rebounding also? And then I'll get
Yeah,
my
yeah,
last thing. Yeah, go ahead.
real quick, and I think it ties into what we talked about, kind of hinted at a little bit in the first part of the episode, which is Cam Boozer did not have a great first half, and again, that's not something we expected, but it's not going to be something that we think is going to be a long-term issue. But part of that was he only got three rebounds in the first half, and when you're looking at a guy who averaged 16 rebounds in the preseason in two games.
Yeah, something outrageous like that. Yeah.
Something outrageous like that. It takes a little bit to for other guys to have to overcome that. And again, in the second half, he showed up. He had 15 and 10, which is great over the course of a game, much less a half. But I think other guys we saw in the preseason that other guys are capable of getting quite a few rebounds, 5, 6, 7 rebounds. And if we're going to force teams to miss shots, we should make it where they only miss one shot in that possession. We get the rebound and go the other way. You don't want to prolong it. As you mentioned, those second chance points are things that we can limit, immensely over the next couple of weeks because against better teams, if we allow teams to get second chance points, that could be the difference in a close game. So I'm not, again, too worried about it, but the rebounding is something that can always be there, just like the defense.
My last thing I have in the bad is I want to talk about the bench a little bit. Look, Duke has depth. Duke has talented quality depth. The depth needs to find out how it can contribute. Nick Hemenia, again, was running the offense a good bit in this game. There were times where neither Caden Boozer nor Caleb Foster were in the game, and Nick Hemenia was functionally the point guard. There were even times when those guys were in the game where Nick Hemenia was functioning as the point guard. But he just I haven't seen the highly vaunted passing that he was supposed to bring with him. I haven't seen him be very creative initiating the offense. He's not yet scoring in any meaningful kind of way. He did hit a three-pointer in this game, but we got to find a way to unlock Nick a little bit more. Darren Harris only gets 8 minutes in this game. I thought Darren was going to consistently be a double-digit minute guy this season. Again, he hit a nice three, but he too struggled a little bit to be impactful. His defense's physicality, all those things are clearly well improved from where they were last year. Frankly, last year he wouldn't have been in a game like this. So he's getting better, but I want the Darren Harris that's going to get me multiple three-pointers in the game. And then Caden Boozer. You see glimpses, Donald? I mean, I feel like this guy's going to be something really special at some point. I love his court sense. I love his smarts. I think he's a real pest on defense. But he has 0 assists and 0 shots in this game. He played 13 minutes and he functionally didn't really impact the team offensively at all. He got 5 rebounds. That's nice. But I'm waiting for one of those 3 guys. These guys are 7, 8, and 9 on the roster. It's clear at this point. I'm waiting for one of them, 2 of them, maybe all 3 of them, because they've got the talent to show me a little bit more, to become a little more involved in the offense. And when they do, I think this Duke team really ratchets up a solid notch or 2.
Just a clarification. Caden Boozer had 2 assists. He had 3 rebounds on the game, as I mentioned earlier. Everybody at least got 1, but I think Caden, to your point, I think Caden.
I apologize. You know what happened? I was looking. He's the last thing in the box score, and the team is right underneath him. And I was looking at the team numbers. That's my fault. That's why I apologize.
The team having 0 assists. What is wrong with you guys? The team having 0.
but the team had 5 rebounds. That's pretty good. So I apologize, but my point still stands with Caden. I still think even 2 assists is not. I mean, in 13 minutes, I guess. I want to see Caden do more.
No, I think to your point, right? I think the idea is for somebody on this team to have, more than 2 assists. Like the fact that everybody got an assist and was helping out is a great thing. But you want somebody kind of doing a little bit more than that to facilitate other guys in the offense. And I think Caden Boozer, I picked him in the stats game. I think he's capable of growing into doing that. I'm not going to, abandon that project after game one, but it's clear that the bench has to find their identity in the minutes that they are on the floor, whatever that may be. With Nick, as you mentioned, is he going to hit threes? Is he going to be a slasher guy? Is he going to be a facilitator? Is he going to handle the point? In the case of Caden Boozer, is he going to be that point guard that this team needs? Is it going to be pick and rolls with his brother or finding other guys on the wing, taking the occasional shot? That's fine. I think everyone on this team has a role when they're on the floor. In the early part of the season, and the reason why John Shire wants us to test ourselves against these teams is to figure out what those roles are going to be, and also how these roles are going to change or have to be abandoned at some points because of how the game transpires. The foul trouble, right, had to change a lot of things about this team, about the shape and what roles guys had. So there's that. There's the fact that we weren't shooting well. So you have to figure out how to win through that. And again, it's early on the season, but I think I agree with you in the sense that the bench really has to figure out how they can contribute to the games because we can't leave all the scoring to Cam Boozer and Slim and Big Pat. We just no one's going to win with three guys in double figures. What wins championships are when we have multiple guys in double digits, when we have multiple guys with 3 or 4 assists, when we have multiple guys with 5 rebounds, we have multiple guys getting steals and contributing on defense. And that's going to take some time. But I think if you're going to get short minutes, then you need to figure out what to do in those short minutes to get more minutes next time and to make it where even if you are on the floor for 5 minutes or 8 minutes, get the efficiency down where the coach says, hey, he was in the game that for a short period of time, but he affected the game in that short period of time.
Let's get to the play of the game, man.
All right. So I will go with you first. What's your play of the game?
All right. So you're going to regret going to me first because I've got 4 nominees.
Great. Let's hear the winner.
Okay. So early on, Duke was struggling to score early, and Malik Brown made a pass to Dame Sarr for an open 3 that was just such a ridiculously good pass. It was outrageous how good that pass was from Malik Brown. So that's a nominee that did not make it. Dame Sarr had a play where he knocked the ball away. Duke went off to the races at the other end, and it ended with Pat Gongba throwing a sweet pass to Isaiah Evans, going backdoor for a reverse layup. And that made the score Texas 14, Isaiah 14. Duke had 23, but Isaiah had 14 to 23. That was another nominee. My third nominee that didn't make it. And man, let me tell you, this came so close to being my play of the game. When Malik knocked the ball away and Darren Harris hustled for that loose ball and ended up knocking it off the Texas player. I was like, there is not a coach in the nation watching this that didn't jump out of their chair and just scream. Just that was such a great hustle play. It's not a big play in the game. It's not showy or anything, but it was just Darren Harris being like, I'm only getting 8 minutes this game. I'm putting every ounce of my body out there for those 8 minutes. Love that play. But the winner, the best play of the game that I have, right? It came right after Dame Sarr blew his dunk, which probably would have been the one. But after Dame blows his dunk, Pat Gongba makes a great defense on a drive by Texas, and Cam Boozer gets the rebound, and immediately what Cam does better than like any big man I've seen at Duke in a long time, just gets that ball out there, and it is fired into a Duke fast break. And it ended up Caleb Foster was the guy he fired it off to, and Caleb gets that spinning layup. And I think that was the moment in the game where I was like, Duke's winning this game. So that was my play of the game.
So I think you mentioned my nominee for play of the game, and it's the point where I believe it was Caleb Foster kind of dribbled into the lane. He kind of goes towards the top of the by the free throw line, towards the elbow, and it looked like, again, it was kind of a helter-skelter play, but he figured it out. He was able to dump it into Malik Brown. Malik Brown had 2 guys converge on him immediately. He kind of did a half spin and fired it out to the corner where Dame Sarr was waiting in front of the Texas bench. He drains the 3, and Sean Miller immediately goes, timeout. We got to talk about that play because
exactly.
And I agree with you, Sean. That was a play of the game for me. I thought that was a great use of passing. If we had hockey assists in this game, Caleb Foster would have got the true hockey assist on that, because I think his ability to find Malik and Malik again to figure out, hey, I don't got it, but Dame's man just came off of him in the corner to guard me. So long I feed my man for the easy three. That's how you turn 2 points into easy 2 points into an easier 3 points, and that's how you get your opponent to have to call a timeout to regroup. So really appreciated that.
I want to close with one thing really quick, Donald.
Yeah, sure.
About the ACC, and this matters for Duke. It matters for Duke because you want quad one games. You want to be tested in the ACC battles. You want the conference to be good. When the conference is good, it makes Duke even better. The ACC on opening day of this season, on Monday, 14 ACC teams were in action. I want to be clear that no one played anybody all that good. Like, there were no other Power 5 teams that Duke faced off. That the ACC faced off against. But ACC teams did a good job of putting a hurting, of beating down the teams, the lesser quality teams that they played. Louisville won by 59, Clemson won by 55, NC State won by 48, UNC won by 40, Syracuse by 38, Virginia won by 34, Virginia Tech won by 31, Cal won by 27, Notre Dame by 22, Miami by 17, Pitt by 15. All of those teams, I said 14 teams were in action. 11 of teams, all those teams that won by 15 or more, improved their standing in Ken Pomeroy's database, including some teams that made real jumps. Virginia jumped up 7 spots in the rankings. Clemson moved up 6 spots. Louisville went from 14 to 11. It is not easy to move up 3 spots when you're already at number 14. All these teams really helped themselves out in the advanced analytics. Even though they are playing bad teams, they put a beat down on those bad teams. 20, 30, 40, 50 plus points by the ACC teams. And it helps them out down the road. It helps Duke out down the road, even though it presents us probably with extra challenges. That said, I want to also mention that Wake Forest only won by 14 against a terrible, terrible opponent. Georgia Tech won by 4 against a unbelievably wretched opponent, and BC lost by 5. All 3 of those teams went down in Ken Pomeroy's rankings. You know, things got worse for them. But if you're telling me that on, a given day when 14 ACC teams are playing, that 11 of them are going to improve their computer rankings, that's a good day for the ACC.
Yeah, and I think, first of all, the computers like the ACC a lot more than they did last year to start, which is good. But only, to improve from there is a good thing. And honestly, for me, like, these opening night games when you're not playing a Power 5 or Power 4 conference team opponent, it's about not losing, right? It's not, those sort of games you don't want to lose against the quad 4s, and in the case of Boise State, the quad 5s, right? You don't want to lose against those type of teams in the first part of the season. But then it gets to the point where when they are playing Power 4 opponents, which those games are coming very, very quickly, you want the ACC to do well against those teams so that when they start in that room comparing the ACC to other conferences, they can go, hey, the ACC has this record against the SEC, this record against the Big Ten, this record against the Big 12, the Big East. They want those quad 1 victories and those quad 1 games to say, hey, the ACC showed out in these quad 1 and quad 2 appearances. So when it comes time for the NCAA tournament, we have no qualms of putting them in there because we think that they can do well against anybody that they come up against. So that's the idea. It starts with night 1. Hopefully the ACC as a conference can build from there. That will do it for this episode of the Duke Basketball Roundup. Real quick note, come back in like 36 hours. Not even that, maybe 12 hours. Because tomorrow... Because tomorrow we have another episode that we are dropping. We interviewed or we sat down with Jordan Brenner, who has been on this show many, many times in the past, and we are going to continue to have him on in the future. We kind of do our season preview after game 1. A lot of stuff going on in the DBR world, so we had to push it back a little bit, but it was worth the wait. So make sure you tune into your feed after, a little bit later after this, because we will have another episode ready for you. And then there's the weekend where we have Duke football and another Duke basketball game. We'll be back to recap both of those after that. So until then, he's Jason. I'm Donald. This has been episode 765, and now it is time for the Duke Band to play us out. Take us home.